At the starting of the week, as Summit talks, you'll hear them speak. It's only
The History of Hoots.
History of Hoots.
Lewis Allen Jr. And this is the History of Hoots.
Duke and Chelsea Miller, and this is the History of Hoots.
My name is Alton Lewis Allen Jr. I've been here August to be 39 years. When he came down here and opened up, it had been several different bars and everything, but most of it probably stayed about the same. The jukebox was right here. The jukebox, you have a rail around here, and then the bar itself is we've redone the bar, but the bar was pretty much like this as far as the deal, but the top was like formica, had a big pad around it, cabinets, mirrors all across there. There was like a runway out in the stage. The stage was different. It didn't have the green room. The green room, there was a big DJ stand over there. Sheetrock on the walls, and the walls had like signatures of people that had played down here. The ones that I really remember being written on there was David Allen Cole had written on the wall. And it was another club then. It wasn't Hoots then, but it was it's called Coyotes. Hoots first opened up. Junior Smith opened it up. Hired from General Motors, started himself a bar, and it was down by Fincher's at 1187 and 35. Right there was that Fincher's. It was a little house. It was just a little white house, is what it was. It was probably 1,200 square feet. It was probably on the inside was about the size of the dance floor, really, and had a horseshoe bar in it, and one pool table, and a jukebox, a couple of dart machines. If you weren't there by 3 o'clock, you were standing up. How full it would get and stuff. And he had just an instant hit with it, really. And all the beer was in cans. There was no bottles other than the liquor. It was a very popular place, and he would he had a little microphone on a cord that he plugged into the jukebox, and he would sing with the jukebox or whatever. People really, they came there to see Junior. Good guy, real good friend of mine, and he didn't see the bad in people. He only seen the good. That's all he seen was the good in everybody. And then his bar, people came to his bar, he just asked one thing, was respect. He had respect for that person sitting beside you on the bar stool or whatever. That's all it was, you know. If you didn't just have respect, then you could go somewhere else. It's just their bar. You come to their bar, and that's really how he was about everything. Really afraid about leasing it because it was so bigger than what he had, and then he had to get a band. And I was here. When I came down here, I was here, and so he asked me. He said, and the vending guy that everybody knows, we called him Boss Man. And he said, walked up to me and he said, "Hey, did you come here? Did you come down here? Are you gonna work? Are you meeting Boss Man down here?" And I told him, I said, "Well, I'm supposed to meet Boss down here. I don't know if I want to work or not. I don't think I want to work." And he said, "Okay." So he walked off, and his wife Cindy walked past, and she had a Hoots shirt, and she threw the Hoots shirt at me, and she said, "Go in the office and put this shirt on. You work for me." So I said, "Okay." So I did. I put the Hoots shirt on, and I went in the office, changed the shirt, put the Hoots shirt on, and came out, and I worked for Cindy. So I was working, and I what do you want me to do? He said, "Well, just like stand around or whatever, make sure everybody's having a good time. Just take care of business." So I said, "Okay, I can do that." So he didn't think I was taking care of business. So he come over and told me, "You need to do this, whatever stuff." And I looked at him and I told him, I said, "I don't work for you, I work for Cindy. Cindy hired me." So he went and told Cindy, "You need to go tell your employee that he needs to do this." And she came over there and she goes, "Well, I guess you're my employee now. So, hey, why don't you go back there and stand behind the back bar?" And I said, "Okay." Well, that's what I did. So every time he would say something to me, I would tell him, "I don't work for you, I work for Cindy." That was it. And then from there, I just Eventually, before it was over with, I was just doing everything. Eventually, he said, why don't you retire from there? You know, because I've been there for 34 years. But just go ahead and retire from there and just take care of everything down here for me. Because I guess he was getting tired or something. I don't know, But he wanted to, I think he wanted to stay with us and keep his great grandkids. Really loved his grandkids, and he really loved his great grandkids. And I mean, he was a really good guy. Really good guy.
So we went dancing almost every night, but we would meet at Calamities. I knew who he was, but we had not actually met. And I had a date, and he had been dancing with the same girl all night long. And my date had just had surgery. He couldn't dance. And he came over and asked me to dance. And I thought, are you out of your ever-loving mind? You're not getting me in trouble. It was his daughter. It was his oldest daughter. We were at Calamities when the name of the band that we always went to see was Mill Buddies. And Jana Haynes was one of the lead singers. And we were sitting there, and we'd been going several times, and we were already starting to date. We had been dating for 2 or 3 years. And she said, hey, Cindy, if you're not doing anything on June 6th, Junior wants to know if you'll marry him. He said, you want a quarter? You need to go call your mom. He had always wanted to own his own business. And I had been bartending for years. He said, hey, you know that side of the bar, and I'm good at people. He said, let's open a bar. I said, okay, if that's what you want to do, let's do it. If it doesn't work, we're still young enough, we can go find other jobs. At the old Hoots, up on the highway, that place was so small that it would fit on the dance floor. Junior started, before karaoke was even karaoke, he would, especially during the holidays, you want to sing a song? Play it on the jukebox, get up here and sing it. But it cost you $1. $1 or a canned good. Donated to the House of Hope in Crowley. And then, I'll never forget when he came and he said, we're moving. I said, we're moving to where? He said, the old Chip Inn. And I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, the dance floor, this bar will fit on that dance floor. We went from, I think we had 3 employees to like 10. It was my daddy. His name was James Gordon Gibson. But when he was young, him and all of his buddies, which they were Tater Hill Gang from Arlington. They stayed buddies until they all died last year. Out in the woods playing, and a hoot owl shit on his head, calling him Hoots. So when we decided we were trying to come up with a name, and Junior said, you know, I want something short, catchy, and easy to remember. So we told nobody that he named it Hoots. Because this was his baby. But we didn't say anything till the sign went up. And everybody kept trying to guess. And I'll never forget the questions on Jeopardy was, where did the trains go in Petticoat Junction? Our phone started blowing up. Everybody that we knew that had watched Jeopardy had already figured out it was Hooterville. Nobody ever made it small and said Hoot. Junior was a people person. Everybody loved Junior. So when he would get tired of the bar and would back off from it, our business would drop. And then he'd say, okay, I gotta go back to work. And then here'd come. You know, the business was bad. He was always for the underdog. Electrician or works for the railroad or something. But he said, I never heard of this man before. And he calls me out of the blue, gives me a job, and finds me a place to stay. That was Junior Smith.
Tina Weatherford, 20 years, 20 plus. People, a lot of my old guys that when I first started working here aren't here anymore. Guys and girls, a lot of them. Every one of them means something to you. Yeah. And, just the upgrades and how far it's become since when I first started working here. Right. I mean, it's great. Stuff you will never forget. Yeah.